Hi friends, I'm doing this a little bit differently today because I'm having, in all honesty, just a rough start to my day, and I have a person here watching my toddler, and so I'm just kind of hiding out in my room filming this video, which is so very late. I really had the intention of trying to do these much more regularly, but in all honesty, just pregnancy and work and toddler parenting and all those things, which is what this whole kind of Mama in the Saddle project is really about, is just very all-consuming, and it's really hard to find even just a few minutes to film a video. So here we are today, finally made it. So some quick updates. I'm currently 17 weeks pregnant with baby number 2, which means baby is the size of a Pop-Tart. If you go by the fruits, it's an onion, but like, I don't know, I always think about, when you go to the grocery store and you look at the onions, like, there are onions that are this big and there are onions that are this big. Like, which onion are we talking about? It's not very helpful for me, especially as like a gardener too, because like the onions that I grow are very, widely in size. And so thinking about something different. So a Pop-Tart is much more helpful because those are very standard size. So that to me is what I go by. So baby is about the size of a Pop-Tart. They are developing fingerprints, which is really cool and just such a good reminder that this is a whole individual that is growing in there, and that even though they're kind of just part of me right now, that they really are their own person, and just kind of sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole in my mind. And they're learning how to suck and swallow this week, which is really cool and kind of fascinating that that happens so early. So just kind of some interesting little updates about that. I, at this moment, am feeling exhausted. I actually, like, for the most part, my energy has been really good this pregnancy. I feel like I've been able to pretty much keep up with my normal workload. But just the last couple of days, I've just been like, okay, maybe it's time to kind of start slowing down. I've always been a bit more of an advocate of like listening to my body than necessarily, like, I think the guidelines are really important. There's a reason that they're there. But also just thinking about like, we're all so individual and we all have such different abilities and energy levels and other factors coming into our pregnancies and our lives. And so just really thinking about listening to my body and kind of sensing when it's time to slow down from there is really important. And then postpartum, kind of thinking about just feeling for myself when it's time to start picking back up again. I live a very busy life. I'm a horse trainer. I have a full riding program. I have this project, the Mama in the Saddle project. I have my equine health consulting, whole side of my business where I'm an equine nutrition consultant, and I help people with fitness and mindset and behavior and problem solving and all of that. And I'm also a personal trainer and sports nutrition coach, and so I have lots of different facets of my business that are like always kind of percolating in the back of my mind, and then also kind of in my normal daily life that kind of bubble up. But my main focuses on a normal daily basis are I'm down to now 1 personal horse and my 3 school horses, and then my students that I teach. And so that is kind of exhausting work, just being outside in the elements, working with horses, working with people. I'm definitely an introvert, so finding that time to kind of recharge. And then at home, I have a toddler. She's 14 months old, which I know is very early in the toddler years. We've got a long way to go, but she definitely is pretty verbal for her age and definitely practicing her autonomy. And so again, like even with, like I was saying with the pregnancy, also with kids, like we have these kind of general guidelines and general milestones, but each kid is so different. And I'll see 14-month-olds that are the same age as her, but they're on a full spectrum of, practicing different skills and things. And she's definitely in a moment right now of practicing knowing what she wants, asking for what she wants, having really big emotions about not getting what she wants, And that can be really tricky, especially around the horses, because my primary goal is to keep her safe, obviously, and that can be really tricky now that she has started riding a little bit and she's loving that. It's adorable. I'm loving that. But now whenever we're around them, she wants to ride, so she'll bring me her helmet and, expresses an interest in wanting to ride the horses, and I have to often tell her no because I'm working and it's not really a good time, and it's hard for her to understand that. So really struggling with that. We're also really struggling with just generally, like, she really knows what she wants but doesn't always have the words to communicate it, and so she'll often like really adamantly be asking for something, and I think she's asking for, like, let's say water is my interpretation, and I bring her water and that's not what she wanted, and she gets really angry and kind of like screams and throws it across the room, and then, okay, it's not water, so let me try milk, so I'll bring her milk, and like, that's not it. And then I'm like, okay, maybe she's hungry, let's bring her a snack, and I bring her lots of different types of snacks and offer them, and every single one she says no and throws it across the room. So I think what I've kind of come to is that it's really more about her saying no and practicing that ability to actually use her voice in that way. But it's really challenging as her caregiver to sit here seeing her wanting something and getting so worked up and frustrated when I feel like I'm just missing something. I feel like I'm not understanding what it is that she wants. And somebody helped me out immensely with this the other day. She was our kind of facilitator for our first baby group that we were in. And she also happens to be the parent of one of my students. And so I see her at the barn from time to time. And I was kind of telling her about this little pattern that we're getting into and how challenging that is, and how just it like unsettles me and obviously unsettles my daughter, and kind of sends us into this little spiral where we're kind of like both frantic trying to figure out what's going on. And she told me that as a parent, you can kind of be, she said she borrowed this from somebody, and I don't remember who she said, so apologies, and please know that I always want to give credit where I can, but I don't remember, this was just a verbal conversation, so I don't remember who she said she borrowed this from, but it really stuck with me. So the idea was that you could be kind of the lawyer and like negotiate, like, well, if you drink the milk, then we can, whatever. Or you can sort of be the dictator and you can say, like, drink your milk because I said so. And those might work in the short run, but in the long run, they're not necessarily teaching your child the skills or teaching you the skills that you need to build on for the next phase of development. But what she said is the most effective is if you can be the captain of the ship. And in being the captain of the ship, like, nobody wants a sea captain that starts panicking when all of the passengers start panicking, right? Like the seas are kind of rough and things aren't going well. You want to see that your captain is calm and level-headed, even if maybe they don't know what to do, even if they don't know the answer. They're still calm and capable and in control of the situation. And so that has just helped me so much, just to know that this little person has her big feelings and she can feel those, and I want to acknowledge that. But I want to acknowledge it from a place of calm and composure and staying grounded, because that's what's really going to bring her back to feeling safe, because she's exploring some of these things for the first time in her life. She's never had the ability to say no to things before. She's never had the ability to express one desire over another. And so for her to be able to just even explore that with a safe person to care for her is really important. So that helped a lot to keep that in front of my mind. And then some really cool things that she's working on. She's so mobile. She's like climbing on things and loves the park. We're going to the park a lot in the mornings. She has been riding, which is amazing, obviously with help. So the part of the reason the riding is tricky is because she can only ride when my partner can also be there, because he holds her on the horse or stays right next to her, and I handle the horse. So we really need 2 adults. And so that's a little bit tricky because it just doesn't happen that often. So that's the tricky thing about the riding. But it's so cool and just like warms my heart so much to see her doing that. And she's communicating, she's repeating words that we're saying. Like, it's very cool to watch her just developing in real time. It's fascinating. And just feeling so inspired by her and how much she's learning on a daily basis and how much hard work she's doing, that to me are things that I just kind of take for granted. One thing that was really cool the other day that I was thinking about is she's really fascinated by birds right now, and every time she sees one she says bird and she points and gets really excited. But that would be really exciting, like if you didn't understand, you know, if all the animals you'd ever seen were on the ground walking around and then all of a sudden there was one just floating in the air, like that'd be kind of cool, you know. And just having that perspective of the world really being a place of awe and amazing things, and it really is cool to kind of try to see the world through her eyes. So I'm really loving that. That's been really wonderful lately. And then she's just suddenly has been sleeping well, which is amazing because she's never slept well since she was born. And I feel like I can talk about it now because it's been over a week that we put her to bed and she says goodnight and we leave the room and we hear her in there singing to herself and playing with her stuffed animals, and then she just goes to sleep and she sleeps until morning, and it's truly miraculous. It's not something I ever expected from her because she's never been a really, you know, good sleeper, whatever that means. But wow, just amazing to have that and to be able to sleep, because especially right now as my belly's getting bigger and sleep is getting more uncomfortable, I have this amazing full body pillow which like changes everything. But truly, like, to be able to just actually get a good night's sleep when I have a physical job and I'm chasing a toddler all day and my mind never gets to rest has just really been incredible. So that's been just an absolute miracle, and I'm so grateful for that every single morning when I wake up. And then on the horse front, I have rehomed one of my personal horses, Mesa, which was a really difficult decision, but I needed to do it because I just haven't had the time for him. And he was really a horse that needed a lot of training and a lot of care and attention. He came to me from kind of an abusive backstory and was really holding on to a lot of that. And I really saw the potential in him. I could see how he could really be a great horse, and he had so much to give the world, and he really, you know, bonds with people so deeply, and he's really just an amazing guy. But I'm not in a position right now to be hurt. And so I really cannot be training horses in that respect. And, you know, the problem horses, which I don't even like that term, but, you know, the horses that, you know, buck or pull back or rear or whatever, I can't be doing that anymore. And so it was really hard for me because I did get really attached to him. I've had him for about 2.5 years. And yeah, just kind of broke my heart to let him go. But I also just feel like it was the best thing ever because I get the updates from the trainer that has him right now. And he said he's not pulling back. He's standing for the farrier. He rides him, walk, trot, canter, both directions, good leads. Like my thing with this horse was always that I think he was started right because he knows his stuff. He knows what he's supposed to do. And then somewhere along the way, he had a person that abused him and put fear into his life and kind of messed that all up. But that under there's a horse that really has a solid foundation. And so that just to me alone, just to get those updates from him is like so amazing and heartwarming. And I kind of thought I might feel a little bit like almost kind of jealous or something, but I really don't. I really feel so happy for him and so relieved for me that that's not on my plate. And I just hope that he has the most amazing, wonderful life. So that's really great. And so now I just have Olive as my personal horse. I will probably have her forever. I've had her since she was a yearling. She is my buddy and she's just a good girl. She has been a bit on the back burner as well. I am still working on trying to get her ridden more often by more people. But every time we pick it back up with her, she's just so good. She's so patient. She is totally fine with having long periods of just turnouts and lunges. And then when I do have somebody who can ride her, they're just, you know, she's been wonderful. And again, that's hard for me because I always had the vision of me being the one starting her, because I got her as a yearling and I got her when I was much younger and didn't have kids yet and didn't have a timeline for that. And one of the biggest things that I grieved when I got pregnant with my first baby was the fact that someone else was going to have to take over Olive's training. And that was really hard for me because this was the horse that I was just really looking forward to doing that with. And honestly, it's still hard for me because I still kind of hold on to that a little bit, but I'm just so grateful that she has the type of brain that she's okay with kind of a little bit of a longer process and kind of having lots of stops and starts, and she's just been tolerating it so well. So I'm just really grateful for that, and really grateful for the people that have been helping me with her, because I don't know what I would have done if I had to do this all on my own. So that's amazing. And then I have my 3 school horses, and they're wonderful. They have been working with kids starting from 3 years old all the way through adults. I have skill levels from like absolute beginners, never ridden before, all the way through fairly advanced riders that are trying to get tune-ups or whatever, or that are coming back to riding after a long break. And so that's all just been really wonderful. So anyway, I guess I should wrap up because I hear the baby coming back from her walk, but lots of updates, and hopefully the next one won't be too far behind. Be well.